The year was 1969. The world was in turmoil, marked by conflicts, cultural revolutions, and musical transformations that redefined the art form. London, the epicenter of this vibrant scene, was witnessing rock music morphing into something new. The Rolling Stones, reeling from the recent loss of Brian Jones, were preparing for an iconic performance in Hyde Park, just 2 days after the tragedy. The event would serve both as a tribute and a fresh start. Before the Stones took the stage, an emerging band would perform. Few in the massive crowd knew King Crimson, but they were about to experience a performance that would forever alter their perception of music. That day, before an audience of around 500,000 people, King Crimson would make history. Imagine the scene. An endless crowd, the air thick with anticipation, smoke swirling, and the scent of trampled grass filling the air. The Rolling Stones were the anticipated headliners, but behind the scenes, another spectacle was quietly preparing to take place. King Crimson arrived discreetly, no rock star posturing or inflated egos, just dedicated musicians carrying their instruments. Robert Fripp, with his reserved demeanor. Greg Lake, young, but with a voice that carried the weight of experience. Michael Giles, meticulous with every adjustment of his drum kit. And Ian MacDonald, moving between saxophone and mellotron, ready to fill the space with ethereal melodies. The band ascended the stage without fanfare. Few knew them, and expectations were minimal. When King Crimson took the stage, they began their set with 21st Century Schizoid Man, followed by In the Court of the Crimson King, Get Thy Bearings, Epitaph, Mantra, Travel-Weary Capricorn, and Mars. Dick Fraser recalls that during the opening number, a large frame photograph of Brian Jones fell, nearly striking Greg Lake. The bassist ignored the incident, but many backstage wondered if it was some kind of omen or supernatural event. The first notes of 21st Century Schizoid Man rang through the park like an electric shock. Fripp's distorted guitar was visceral. MacDonald's saxophone sounded like an apocalyptic alarm. Giles's drumming set a battle rhythm, and Lake's voice delivered with the intensity of a prophetic revelation. Richard Vickers, the band's new roadie at the time, reflected in his memoirs. The highlight of that show was the entire audience standing as one and applauding Ian MacDonald's solo during Schizoid. I remember the hairs on the back of my neck standing up in unison as the roar of that immense crowd sent shivers down my spine. The audience, accustomed to more conventional melodies, was caught between fascination and confusion. Some tried to follow the complex rhythms, but found themselves disoriented. Others closed their eyes, fully immersed in the sonic storm enveloping them. Backstage, the Rolling Stones watched intently. Mick Jagger crossed his arms, intrigued. Keith Richards wore a smile, recognizing a distinct rebellious energy. Charlie Watts absorbed every rhythmic nuance, and Bill Wyman watched silently, deep in thought. Each composition was a distinct exploration, from the raw intensity of 21st Century Schizoid Man to the meditative tranquility of Mantra. The Crimson closed, as was customary, with Mars, complete with an air raid siren triggered from beneath the stage by Enthoven and Fraser. Notably, Black Sabbath would later draw inspiration from this track, using it as the foundation for the iconic riff in their song Black Sabbath. The final chord echoed, and for a moment, silence took over Hyde Park. Then, a wave of applause erupted, not just in appreciation, but in recognition that something extraordinary had just occurred. Many in the crowd might not have known the name of the band that had just performed, but they left transformed. Their musical horizons had been expanded, and the history of rock had gained a new chapter. Under the London sky that had witnessed it all, King Crimson left an indelible mark, echoing through the decades in every bold chord, in every innovative melody, in every moment of pure musical transcendence. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more fascinating rock history tales.